Yeah, hi there. These comments are for MTS, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT. And you're doing the free TOEFL Speaking Practices Evaluation, and happy holidays to you. If you speak Spanish, felicitaciones a tú y tu familia. Hope you have a Feliz Navidad and Prospero Año Nuevo. Okay, so let's take a look at your practice test. So I'm going to download it right now. Okay, here we go.
I think that it's better to study in a group than study alone.
Okay, so I think this one is, do you prefer to study in a group or do you prefer to study alone? Why? Give reasons and examples to support your opinion. So let me listen to the whole thing first without making any comments, and then I'll listen to it one more time and I'll give you a score. Now, believe it or not, this is the very first time I have listened to this response. So I like to give you my first impressions. Usually my first impressions are pretty good. I have graded about 20,000 TOEFL speaking practice tests over the last 3 or 4 years. I've been teaching TOEFL preparation at California State University San Bernardino, Marisol, for about 22 years. So I have a pretty good idea what works or what doesn't work with this kind of speaking task. Okay, here we go.
I think that it's better to study in a group than study alone for 2 reasons. First, you can remember the things easier. For example, when I was studying my master's degree, I used to study with a group. So by that way, we could share our thoughts, our ideas, our knowledge of that specific subject that we were studying. And it was easier to remember the things for the final test. And second, because you can have immediate feedback. For example, when I was studying with my group also, if anyone had a doubt of something and the other person of the group knew that specific question, he or she answered right away that question. Then I think that's a benefit that study alone you don't have. That's why I think that way.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look. So my first impression is not a 3. I'm going to put you maybe at the high 2 area, maybe 20 to 22 points out of 30 on this. So there's some things. The beginning of the response, you like studying in group for 2 reasons. That is a template that's very predictable. Don't do that. Try to be more specific as you're answering these kinds of questions. What you do is when you see the speaking task, try to jot down maybe 2 key ideas. You might say faster, higher scores. So if you put faster, higher scores, then when you begin speaking, you might want to say, well, if I have to choose between studying alone or studying in a group, I prefer to study in a group because it's a more efficient method of study, and through this method, I can get higher scores on my exams. So if you say that in the beginning, that instead of 4 2 reasons, that gives you a little bit more specific focus, and it doesn't sound like you've memorized a template. All right, let's listen to it one more time.
I think that it's better to study in a group than study alone for 2 reasons.
Right, so for 2 reasons.
First, you can remember the things.
Not you can, students. If students study in groups, or students who study in groups can remember. So number 1, don't start off with a pronoun like you. Start off with a concrete, maybe singular plural noun like maybe students. Or a student, something like that.
Things easier. For example, when I was studying my master's degree, I used to study with a group. So, but
this is good. I like this. So you're giving a specific example to illustrate your idea. That's a good strategy.
That way we could share our thoughts, our ideas, our knowledge of that specific subject that we were studying. Okay,
now that specific subject, I'm guessing maybe you might be from Spain. I could be wrong. Be careful of that S. The S in English is not a TH sound. I know if you're in Spain, you might say, well, I'm from Cádiz, España, whatever. But no, it's Cádiz. You want to make sure when you're pronouncing S endings in English, or you put an S either in the middle or the end of the word, you want to pronounce it as an S. not as a TH, so be careful of that.
And it was easier to remember the things for the final test. And second,
what things? It was easier to remember the material, the
because you
content.
can have
It was easier to remember the vocabulary or the important terminology. So the word things is weak. That's a very weak word. It's not very precise. It doesn't help you describe what you're trying to say.
get feedback. For example, when I was studying with my group also, if anyone had a doubt of something and the other person of the group knew that specific question, he or she answered right away that question.
He or she would answer that question right away. So that's how I would say that. I would say he or she would answer that question right away. So that's a language use issue.
And I think that's a benefit that study alone you don't have. That's why I think that way.
Maybe say which is why I think that way instead of that is why I think that way, because if you use which is why, again, that's showing you have a little bit more advanced grammar there. So I think, based on my comments, I'm going to stand by my score. So I gave you some specific information and things that you can do. I'm going to put you around 20 to 22 points out of 30 would be my best guess here. Okay, so that would be my comments on that. Anyway, I hope that during this particular video I've given you some good comments to help you with your score. Now, I don't know if you thought about this, but one of the reasons I do the free speaking service is I want students to have an idea of where they are. So right now, you now know what your level is, around 20 to 22 points. You know some language use issues, some delivery issues, maybe even some topic development things that you can improve to get better, right? So some things to think about. If you can, I'm going to put a link into the email for you, and if you can share the web page with other students, I would be very, very grateful for that. All right, so thank you for being patient with me and listening to this. And remember, I have a TOEFL Speaking Bootcamp course that you can use, and if you're interested. All right, have a great day.